From brutal ancient battles to the legendary champions of today, boxing has stood the test of time as the ultimate combat sport. But did you know that boxing dates back thousands of years? From the blood-soaked arenas of ancient Greece to the electrifying showdowns of Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, this sport has shaped warriors, defined eras, and created some of the most legendary athletes in history. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating history of boxing, how it evolved from bare-knuckle brawls to the modern-day spectacle we know today. We'll explore the legends, the game-changing moments, and the greatest champions to ever step into the ring. If you're a fan of combat sports, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more epic fight history. Now, let's step into the ring of history. The ancient origins of boxing. Boxing is one of the oldest combat sports in human history, with its roots stretching back thousands of years. The earliest depictions of boxing can be found in ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian artwork, where fighters are shown engaging in hand-to-hand combat. These early contests were likely fought as tests of strength and endurance, with no set rules, just two warriors battling until one could no longer continue. The first recorded mention of boxing comes from the Sumerians, one of the world's earliest civilizations, who documented competitive fighting as far back as 3000 BC. By the time boxing reached ancient Greece, it had evolved into a more structured sport. The Greeks embraced it as part of their Olympic Games, officially introducing it in 688 BC. However, unlike today's boxing with its timed rounds and protective gear, Greek boxing was far more brutal. Fighters wrapped their hands with leather straps called hemantes to protect their knuckles, but there were no weight classes, no time limits, and no breaks. Bouts continued until one fighter was knocked out or could no longer continue. Strength and endurance were prized over defensive skill, making Greek boxing a true test of raw toughness. As the Roman Empire rose to power, boxing took an even more savage turn. The Romans modified the Greek hemantes by adding metal studs, creating the fearsome cestus, a weaponized glove designed to inflict maximum damage. These brutal fights often took place in gladiatorial arenas, where boxers battled for entertainment, sometimes to the death. However, as the empire declined, so did the sport. With the fall of Rome, organized boxing faded into obscurity for centuries, only to be revived in a very different form during the modern era. The revival of boxing in the modern era. After centuries in the shadows, boxing made a fierce comeback in the 17th and 18th centuries, particularly in England. This era saw the rise of bare-knuckle boxing, where fighters engaged in brutal, often lawless contests for prize money and glory. These fights had no standardized rules, no time limits, no weight divisions, and no gloves. Bouts continued until one fighter was knocked out or unable to continue. Despite its raw and violent nature, bare-knuckle boxing became incredibly popular, drawing large crowds and hefty wagers. One of the sport's earliest legends was James Figg, who became England's first recognized boxing champion in the early 1700s. Figg not only dominated the ring but also helped establish boxing as a structured combat sport. However, it was Jack Broughton, another bare-knuckle champion, who took the first steps toward formalizing the sport. In 1743, he introduced the first set of boxing rules, which included a 30-second count for downed fighters and a ban on hitting opponents while they were down. Though still a brutal spectacle, these rules set the foundation for modern boxing. By the mid-19th century, the sport underwent its most significant transformation with the introduction of the Marquess of Queensberry rules in 1867. These rules revolutionized boxing, requiring fighters to wear padded gloves, fight in 3-minute rounds, and compete in weight divisions to ensure fair matchups. The sport shifted from a chaotic brawl to a more strategic, skill-based contest, paving the way for the rise of legendary champions and the global recognition of boxing as a legitimate sport. This transition marked the birth of modern boxing, setting the stage for the golden age of heavyweight champions and the sport's explosion in popularity around the world. The rise of legendary champions. As boxing evolved under the Marquess of Queensberry rules, the sport entered a new era, one defined by legendary champions who transcended the ring and left an indelible mark on history. The early 20th century, pioneers of the heavyweight division. The early 1900s saw boxing become a major global spectacle, and one of its first true icons was Jack Johnson. In 1908, Johnson shattered racial barriers by becoming the first black heavyweight champion, dominating opponents with his defensive mastery and tactical brilliance. His success sparked controversy in an era of segregation, but his influence on boxing was undeniable. Following Johnson, the 1920s became known as the golden age of heavyweight boxing, led by the ferocious Jack Dempsey. Nicknamed the Manasseh Mauler, Dempsey was a relentless pressure fighter with devastating power. His aggressive style and thrilling fights made him a superstar, helping boxing reach new heights of popularity, particularly with the advent of radio broadcasts. The mid-20th century, the art of boxing reaches new heights. As the sport continued to evolve, the 1930s and 40s introduced two of the greatest fighters of all time, Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Robinson. Joe Louis, known as the Brown Bomber, reigned as heavyweight champion for over a decade, the longest in boxing history. His legendary victory over Max Schmeling in 1938 was more than just a fight, it was a defining moment in sports and politics, symbolizing America's fight against fascism before World War II. Meanwhile, Sugar Ray Robinson dominated the lower weight classes, establishing himself as the greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. His dazzling footwork, pinpoint accuracy, and sheer versatility made him nearly unbeatable in his prime, setting the gold standard for future generations of boxers. The golden age of heavyweights, 1960s to 1980s, the legends are born. No era in boxing history is more iconic than the 1960s-1980s, an era packed with legendary heavyweights who became household names. Leading the charge was Muhammad Ali, arguably the most famous boxer in history. His charisma, lightning-fast hands, and legendary fights, from his upset win over Sonny Liston to his epic wars with Joe Frazier and George Foreman, cemented his legacy as the greatest. Alongside Ali stood other boxing titans, Joe Frazier, known for his relentless pressure and left hook, George Foreman, a powerhouse puncher who stunned the world with his raw strength, and later, Mike Tyson, whose explosive knockout power in the 1980s made him one of the most feared fighters in history. Tyson's aggressive style and highlight reel knockouts captivated fans and ushered in a new era of heavyweight dominance. From the pioneers of the early 20th century to the superstars of the Golden Age, boxing's greatest champions not only shaped the sport but also became cultural icons, proving that the sweet science is about far more than just throwing punches, it's about heart, strategy, and the pursuit of greatness. Boxing in the modern era. As boxing moved into the 21st century, the sport continued to evolve, not just in terms of its champions, but also in how fighters trained and approached the game. Gone were the days of pure brawling. Modern boxing became more strategic, blending athleticism with science. Fighters began adopting a more scientific approach to training, focusing on precise defensive techniques, nutrition, and conditioning. Training camps became highly specialized, incorporating advanced recovery methods, strength training, and analytics to maximize a fighter's performance in the ring. Defensive mastery, counterpunching, and ring IQ became just as important as raw power. The greatest champions of the 21st century. Among the greatest fighters of the modern era, Floyd Mayweather Jr. stands out as a master of defensive boxing. With an undefeated 50-0 record, Mayweather perfected the hit and not get hit philosophy, using his signature shoulder roll defense, speed, and counterpunching ability to outclass every opponent he faced. His dominance across multiple weight classes and ability to generate massive pay-per-view numbers cemented him as one of the most successful boxers in history. While Mayweather thrived on defense, his greatest rival, Manny Pacquiao, was the epitome of an aggressive warrior. The Filipino superstar became the only 8-division world champion in boxing history, combining lightning-fast speed with relentless offensive pressure. His legendary battles against Eric Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Mayweather himself solidified his place among the sport's all-time greats. In the heavyweight division, the modern era has been dominated by Tyson Fury, a towering, charismatic fighter with an incredible blend of speed, defense, and knockout power. Fury's comeback story, overcoming personal struggles to reclaim the heavyweight throne, has made him a fan favorite. Meanwhile, in the lower weight classes, Canelo Alvarez has become the face of boxing, conquering multiple divisions with his explosive power, elite defense, and calculated counterattacks. Today, boxing continues to produce elite champions, with fighters like Terence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, and Alexander Usyk carrying the sport forward. With the evolution of boxing styles, advanced training techniques, and a new generation of superstars, the sweet science remains one of the most captivating and enduring sports in the world. The legacy of boxing and its global impact. Boxing is more than just a sport, it's a cultural phenomenon that has left a lasting impact on entertainment, media, and even other combat sports. Hollywood has immortalized the grit and glory of boxing through iconic films like Rocky and Creed, which have inspired generations of fighters and fans alike. Beyond the silver screen, legendary fighters like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and Floyd Mayweather have become household names, shaping pop culture with their personalities, rivalries, and unforgettable moments in the ring. Boxing's influence extends beyond its own boundaries, playing a crucial role in the rise of mixed martial arts, MMA, and modern combat sports. Many of today's top MMA fighters incorporate boxing techniques into their striking arsenals, proving that the sport's fundamentals, footwork, head movement, and precision punching are essential for success in the fight game. While MMA has gained popularity, boxing remains the gold standard for stand-up fighting, with its deep history and legendary status keeping it at the forefront of combat sports. The future of boxing, evolution or decline? In recent years, boxing has taken an unexpected turn with the rise of crossover fights, where YouTubers and social media influencers step into the ring against professional fighters. Events featuring influencers like Jake Paul and KSI have sparked both excitement and controversy, attracting a younger audience while raising concerns about the sport's credibility. Some argue that these high-profile exhibition matches bring much-needed attention to boxing, while purists worry that they overshadow real champions and dilute the sport's legacy. At the same time, the debate over boxing's status as the king of combat sports continues. With MMA's rapid rise and the UFC dominating pay-per-view sales, some wonder if boxing can maintain its relevance in the long run. However, with a new generation of electrifying fighters, rising global stars, and the continued appeal of high-stakes matchups, boxing still holds a unique place in the world of sports. As long as fighters continue to step into the ring with heart, skill, and determination, the sweet science will remain a force to be reckoned with. From the brutal battles of ancient Greece to the electrifying super fights of today, boxing has stood the test of time as one of the greatest and most influential combat sports in history. It has given us unforgettable champions, legendary rivalries, and moments that have defined generations. But the story of boxing isn't over, it continues to evolve, inspiring new fighters and captivating fans across the globe. Who do you think is the greatest boxer of all time? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into boxing history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fight history content. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.